Attention sports enthusiasts, keep the adrenaline pumping and elevate your game day with Chumba Casino. It's completely free to play. No purchase necessary. Whether you're cheering from the stands, on the move, or relaxing at home, Chumba Casino brings the thrill of social casino directly to your fingertips. Experience the ultimate social casino adventure with reels of casino-style games, offering hundreds of exciting options to choose from and fresh new releases every week. There's always something new and thrilling to explore, from action-packed social slots and classic blackjack to engaging bingo and solitaire. The fun never stops. Plus, enjoy generous daily login bonuses and a fantastic free welcome bonus to kickstart your social gaming journey. Dive into the excitement. Discover a world where you can play for your chance to redeem some serious prizes and have a blast along the way. Don't miss out. What are you waiting for? Join now and immerse yourself in nonstop fun and adventure with Chumba Casino. Get in on the action today at ChumbaCasino.com and make every day a Chumba day. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. T&Cs apply.
Every leader knows that growth starts with a single step, or sometimes a single insight. Our Paper Napkin Wisdom newsletter is designed to deliver those insights straight to you. It has already helped so many others, so why not make it your next move? Sign up at papernapkinwisdom.com.
Welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom, where we share pearls of wisdom shared by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, leaders, and difference makers. Here's your host, Govind Jayaraman.
Hi, my name is Govind Jayaraman, and this is Paper Napkin Wisdom, episode 219. Welcome back. Today, we have an incredible conversation lined up for you. Joining us is Michael Schoenberger, a true innovator in business and leadership. As the president of Sunco Communications, he's really built a bridge, seamlessly integrating intelligent ideas from the past with expertise that's relevant for communications today. In today's episode, Mike shares the wisdom he's gained from navigating massive shifts in business and technology, but also about adapting intentionally while staying true to your core values. We'll explore why leadership is really about relationships and how education fuels evolution and why businesses that resist change often pay the price in the long run. Michael also shares his personal journey about how embracing discomfort and staying curious has helped him and his team stay ahead of the game. And there's some powerful takeaways that every entrepreneur, leader, and innovator needs to hear. So as you listen, think about what are the takeaways to you that you can embrace and bring to action in your life. Write them down on a napkin and share it with us and everyone using the hashtag #PaperNapkinWisdom. Let's dive in to my conversation with Mike. Mike Schoenberger, welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom. Man, I'm jazzed about today. I'm really happy to see you.
I am so excited to be here. Our conversations in the past have been super enlightening, and I'm looking forward to today. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. And for those of you watching, Mike's a bit of old school phone aficionado. He's got phones behind him, phones around him, and a whole bunch of rotary dials. And listen, if you're not a Gen X or older, then you're going to need to look up what a rotary dial is. But he's got great phones around him. So very, very
rotary dial phones that you can connect to the IP world. So I bring the two technologies together.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Speaking of really cool, you shared with me a napkin, and it was one of those rare situations and privileged situations where you got to hand me the napkin in person, and we get to have the conversation after the fact. So your paper napkin reads, "Real human connection can change your life." Why did you share that with me?
Well, first of all, I'd like to start by saying, we're all connected, and we're connected in ways that sometimes it's hard to understand. We're all made up of energy. And, I ask all of your listeners the question, when was the last time you thought of somebody and they call you or email or text you, somebody that maybe you hadn't thought of for years? And all of a sudden that they come out of nowhere and they call you, or you're driving down the road and you're thinking, we should go to this place. And the person that's here with you verbalize what you were just thinking. Energy is a thing. So then a situation happened to me 22 years ago that took me 20 years to realize the impact of it and for that napkin. And that was the moment, February 18th, 2002, when I was a tech. And I'm about to walk into this job site when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had this intense pain in my chest, felt nauseous, and it literally knocked me to the floor where I'm leaning against the wall, going, "What the heck is going on?" And I'd never had anything like this happen. I'm like, "Am I coming down with something? What's going on?" When like 20 seconds later, it passed. Little did I know that at that exact same moment, my father, who'd been, my mentor and coach and helped me through the business and get me to where I was, had a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
And that was a moment that impacted me deeply. And that's what I mean by real human connection can change your life. And it's been my journey, really the 22 years, but more importantly, the last 2 years, by realizing how I understand myself and dig into who I am and how I connect with others, has really changed my life in unbelievable ways.
So, first of all, it's a profound story. I mean, how scary that must have been. And then the revelation later on. Did your father make it through that?
No, no, he did not. So that was probably why it took me 20 years to unpack the learnings in it, because we were so close. I had worked side by side for 17 years with him, and he taught me all the different aspects of business and all these amazing lessons. And when he passed, I threw all those feelings and emotions and thoughts in a box that every time I would open up that box, I would get emotional and cry,
Mhm.
and really had difficulty embracing really the message that he taught me in all that time. And by connecting first with myself and uncovering that, I unlocked so much wisdom that I'm now happily sharing with anybody that'll listen, really, to be honest.
So when you say like, there's so much there, and Mike, first of all, thank you for sharing that so openly. But I'm really moved by the words you chose, right? That real human connection. In that sentence or in that phrase, are you are you also saying that we have to connect with ourselves first? Because you didn't unpack that box. You put that box away, and did that carry out into other parts of your life where everything was put away? Un, un, and y-
Yeah, so there was, I threw my after my dad passed, I threw myself into work. It caused, some challenges. My son was young and he had some speech difficulties, and there was all sorts of stuff in my life. And I've been able to get through that, and you heal and you move on with your life. And I've been successful in my career, but became success on steroids. It was kind of like rocket fuel once I did exactly what you just mentioned. I started to dig and I unlocked that box and I dealt with all the emotions of it, got the message and the learning from it, better understood myself. And that's what I mean by real human connection. Real human connection starts with us, starts with
Mhm.
our mind, our heart, our spirit, our soul. And the more that we understand who we are, what our purpose is, how we connect with others, engage in curiosity, it's literally like rocket fuel for your life. And it's
Yeah.
counterintuitive. And we're in a world today that is moving us in completely the opposite direction.
Right? It is, isn't it? And and you're in the tech world, so it's interesting to me to hear you say that you had success, you had a successful business, you had built a successful career, but it became rocket fuel when you unpacked that box, connected yourself with yourself, which then allowed you to really connect with others, right? So so let's talk about using a word that we learned recently together, perturbation, the thing that disturbed you enough to pick up and open that box. What brought you back to that box?
there's things that happen, and I think that nothing happens by accident. So I'm part of the entrepreneurs organization, and always told to just say yes and lean into things and get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I found myself at almost 20 years to the day after my dad's passing at a leadership summit. It was the day after, it'd be February 19th. And it's again another cold day. I think transformation happens when it's minus 30 outside. I don't know, maybe it freezes the misgivings of it. I don't know. But I'm in this event with 30 or 40 other entrepreneurs in a room doing a Wim Hof exercise. I didn't even know what Wim Hof was. And I go in this room and there's a guy on a TV leading from Australia that walks us through this breathing exercise. And it was an hour of continuous breath. And through that exercise, that I just opened up my mind to the possibilities and just say, okay, I'm going to say yes. And this, he said it was going to be uncomfortable. I went through it and I got all the things. I got like super tight. I couldn't move my hands. It was emotions. My eyes were leaking like crazy. All of these things were going in. And all of a sudden, I had this experience where I heard this voice in my head. Again, it sounds weird, which is why I set the stage for connections and energy, and this stuff happens, that said, you're worthy, you're enough, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, and I love you. And all of a sudden, it was euphoric. And that's where that box opened up and unlocked. And that set me on the stage of self-discovery to go, that's curious. What else am I missing? What else is out there? What else is out there for me to learn? And that was like the first boost of the rocket.
It's amazing. It's powerful. I mean, you built a beautiful visual picture there, and the voice. Did you recognize the voice? Was it a familiar voice?
Yeah, I know with just knowing that it was my dad.
That's amazing. I do believe that everything is energy, and everything that you do. And I think when people use phrases like "how you do one thing is how you do everything," they misuse it. They're talking about actions. I think it's about energy. I think it's about not just what you do, it's how you do it and the intention that you bring with it. And, and I think that's what you're talking about too, that when you are able to bring more energy, more of yourself to each of, the business challenges, life challenges, personal challenges, everything else that came afterwards, after that connection point, did things accelerate right there? How did you start to observe changes in your world?
Well, it just started to engage curiosity, go, what else is there? And I've been on a path of exploring kind of myself and things since my 20s. But there were certain things that I wouldn't touch, and kind of the relationship to my dad was kind of one of those things. Every time I would talk about him, I'd get emotional, and like I said, those feelings of anger and sadness and why me, and all of that would come up. And while I appreciated all the learnings from them, I couldn't really embrace them. And so it started to go, it made me curious to go, what else is out there? So I started reading books. I started to listen to podcasts. I started to explore. I started meditation. It led me to another EO event, which is a regional leadership academy, where I unpacked things further. And it was like this layer of the onion that as I dug deeper, there was more layers that were being uncovered. I started to let go of more and more things and get more and more insights. And with the more insights that I got, the more I realized that one of the biggest barriers to success and growth is ones that we put up ourselves. We get in our own way. And energy follows. One of my previous coaches would always say, energy follows intent and desire. And once we understand and unpack that and become curious within ourselves and start asking ourselves questions of the why am I doing things? Why is this my behavior? Then you create the space to potentially change. And the next big change was probably, I came to the realization that I own my business, but I also worked for a big telco in sales. And one of my very last conversations with my dad, probably a week before he passed, was, should I move into sales? I was a really good tech, and my business was more successful than it was when he was running it. And he's like, why would you change when you're already successful there and go into sales, which is unknown? And I'm like, because I think I want more. I realized that I was never good enough in sales, even though I'd rise to, worked in sales for a company that had 4,000 employees and I was in the top five, often top one. It was never good enough. And it was because I was constantly trying to prove myself to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I let that go, I had a sense of peace. I don't have to prove myself. Whereas it goes back to the voice in my head that said, you're worthy, you're enough. You don't have to prove yourself.
That's amazing. So these barriers that you put up, so you talk about the barriers that stop us from moving forward. In your case, you're talking about yourself moving forward, and you're talking about the sales journey right now. Why? Describe the process, or is there a process for taking down the barriers, or is it a shift in mindset that makes you believe they weren't there in the first place? Like,
Yeah, that's well said. They're really not there. Barriers are just things that we create in our reality that we put in front of ourselves,
Mhm.
Limiting beliefs, whatever the heck you want to call them, right? And so the easiest way for me to describe it is a lot of times I was living life as if under a waterfall. So I'm in the waterfall and life and chaos or whatever you want to call it is happening. And I'm just reacting from within the waterfall in what I see. It's hitting me. I'm making decisions. I'm making stuff happen. And I'm doing okay at it. Right. I've learned to survive in this waterfall. And by embracing a practice of stillness and understanding curiosity within myself, it's now like I'm standing on a mountain or up over top, and the waterfall is in the distance. So now things that I would have instantly reacted on, strings that would have pulled me in a direction, I now have seconds or the consciousness to choose a different path because I can see more. I can see more possibilities, so then I can make a decision differently. And that's probably the biggest change that I would come in, if I use the example in my work, I would come in and I would see something and I'd go and I'd just be like, I would cause chaos because I was living in the waterfall. I would pull other people under into my chaos,
It's like you're bringing the waterfall to them, right?
bringing the waterfall to them,
Right.
and understanding that it didn't serve me and it definitely doesn't serve them.
So when now that you have that perspective, that breath, that that fact that human connection can change your life, and you bring that into the relationships in your team, how's that impacted your leadership? How's that impacted your team? I'm sure it's changed things because you're not bringing that waterfall to them anymore.
Yeah, so it's engaging curiosity in all aspects. So we have like a internal 30-minute meeting every Thursday morning, kind of like I call it my 30 minutes with Mike. It's internal podcast where we talk about things that matter. We interview the different staff and get to know each other better because the more that you know who your fellow coworkers are, the more that you can understand how to work together because we all view life through our realm of experiences and we view problems and situations through our experiences and our programs and how we do things. And so by being open to my way isn't the only way to do things and hiring people that have had a different set of experiences that can bring some insights to make my business better and being open to that change has been instrumental. Where we do the entrepreneurial operating system, so we follow structured systems and processes and tools and issue resolution. So when you take the process with the curiosity and empowering people to feel like they're making a difference, company's only as good as its people. So how do you
Yeah,
appreciate your people? You acknowledge them, and I'm trying to create a culture of connection. We're a big values-based organization, and that's how we hire people, and that real human connection comes in all the different things that we do.
it's amazing. I want to see how this resonates with you. Years and years ago, almost a decade ago, a dear friend taught me this term, and it's how he leads everything. He says connection before content. We always connect on a human level before we deal with the issues of the day. sounds like that's the way you're living your life. Was I wrong?
100%. That is like brilliant.
Yeah. So let's also talk about how, real human connection changing your life, but it sounds like you're also really making a connection with your team to change theirs. Um, have they have you seen changes in them, not just in work, but outside of work? Like you're in an industry where people move around a lot. There's a lot of transient workforce issues. Holding on and retention of staff is a big issue. How is this impacting you there?
Yeah, so we've got a really great retention rate. People they tell me that they love working for us and that we have a great culture and community, and I'm very proud of that. And I think this has a part of it. I like to, when I wake up every day, I set my intention is to lead from my heart with love and light in all that I say and do. And that aligns with my real human connection. And I try to encourage my staff to do the same. So replacing judgment with curiosity. So if something isn't working or broken, raise your hand and go, "Hey, this is broken." Not being afraid to use your voice, knowing that we're a company that's been 25 to 30% growth annually. We're 3 times the size we were 4 years ago. Um, that doesn't happen by chance, but it also comes with its share of problems, right?
Yeah, share
You
stuff
know,
that's breaking.
share stuff that's breaking. So we have all sorts of opportunities for learning every single day. But you embrace those learnings and you go, how do we get better? And let's learn from today and make small changes to be better for tomorrow. And that's the culture that we're really working hard to instill here.
But isn't it true that also, I mean, it's so insightful because isn't it true that when you're having that kind of growth, right? If you're not solving problems once, you end up solving them 60 times because we're all having the same issues in that growth curve. If people can't put up their hands and say, "Hey, this is my challenge. This is the way I see it. How do we solve this together?" Then you're solving it alone. Those are the only two options.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So what kind of all right, so somewhere out there's an entrepreneur or a leader in a business that is not growing, is not that big. What would you say to that person? What would you say to that leader? How do they get started in building these connections that can change their business and life?
But the first thing is always being curious. And if you think that you're the essential cog in your business and it can't operate without you, that's the number one limiting belief to work through. And, my mandate or my mission is to work myself out of a job, to empower the organization that it can operate flawlessly with passion, with heart, and deliver what we want to do, make business communications easier for our clients without me. I don't need to be there. That's how you grow your business. You grow your business to rely less and less on you. And all the businesses, I do some coaching and mentoring for companies, and a lot of times people get in their own way because they try to control too much of the process. They try to make every decision, be part of every decision, and you got to hire people you can trust and have metrics and systems in place and scorecards and measurables to know that things are going the way you want them to go, but you don't have to be involved in the actual movement.
You said something really powerful just now, hiring people that you trust, but doesn't that start again with your real human connection thing? You got to learn that you can trust yourself to be the person that can pick the right person and coach them appropriately. It really comes back to us first, doesn't it?
100%. And, understanding what holds us back. I have this little thing that I learned. I took the Global Speaker Academy training. And one thing that really resonated for me is we live in a society that has moved away from really what connects us, what creates that real human connection. And that was, we were hunter and gatherers, right? We were designed to be in packs of groups of like 100 people that relied on each other to survive. And when we're in that, we had this protector to say, I need to, be aware of, is there a lion underneath the table that's going to jump out here and grab my neck and kill me. So you all have this spider sense, and you know that you have a sense of community that you can rely on. That no longer exists. We now sit in these boxes that have heat, that have artificial light, that we get up every day, and especially since COVID, we're essentially alone. That we may or may not have family members that are close to us, but instead of that human connections in a sense of community, we're now more individual units. So it's more about me than us.
Mm.
And we moved away from that us because our protector is now, instead of keeping us safe from the lions and tigers, it's holding us back and it's increasing judgment. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I'm never going to succeed. I'm never going to make enough money. I don't want to put my hand up because people are going to think I'm stupid. I'm not, I'm not. Instead of engaging your projector, which is your powerful stuff, which is your self, your confident self, understanding yourself, embracing your own power that says, I am powerful. I do have a voice. I can make a difference. I'm going to say this because I think that I can make this situation, my family better, my business better, my job better. Right. So not giving in to that thing that's missing, which is community,
Yeah.
and finding your own community and tribe.
So, Mike, I want you to think back to, February 19th, 2022, I guess it was, right? The one day after the 20th anniversary, when you opened up the box. Think back to somebody who might be in that situation. And I wonder what you might say to that person, or what you might say to Mike back at that situation. What would you say to that person right then, before that moment, all locked up, and they don't even realize? I mean, because you probably didn't realize how locked up you were, right? So what would you say to that person to encourage them to take that first step?
I would say put your hand on your heart, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, do you love yourself? Do you love who you see in the mirror?
Yeah.
And start telling yourself that you love yourself, even if you don't believe it. And do that every single day. And that'll start you on the path to unlocking the box.
Because it really does start with us, right? I mean, we can't connect with anybody on any kind of real basis if we're not connected to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't love
100%.
ourselves, we can't love anybody.
100%. How many people give themselves the time to be alone in their own mind? Right? How many people, when they have free time, I have 10 minutes of free time, I'm going to go on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever the latest and greatest thing is to pass my time. That's how I de-stress. That's how not realizing that those things actually cause more stress, cause more anxiety. We're in an anxiety-filled world because we've lost one thing that's important to us. Space of being alone in our own thoughts.
Yeah.
Walking outside, being alone. Taking time to figure out what's going on in my head, calm the chaos of our brain.
Yeah. And then if we calm the chaos of our brain, then we're not bringing our waterfall into other people's conversations, right? Because we all have the potential to be carrying a waterfall, right?
Yeah. I like to call it, do you have a monkey mind or a Buddha mind? When you're talking to somebody, are you thinking about the next thing that you want to say? Ooh, that's cool. I'm going to answer with this. And then you're like trying to get in there to get that thought in because you think it's, going to transform the conversation. Or are you listening with curiosity and practicing like the Buddha mind to go, oh, you like telecom. How'd you get into telecom? And ask questions to dig deeper and create a connection rather than lead the person where you want to go.
That's powerful. It's powerful. But it's really hard, I think, to be honestly interested, like legitimately, and people can tell, right? There's a difference between actually being interested in somebody versus saying, oh, tell me about that, because it becomes formulaic. And I think that being connected to yourself and appreciating yourself first puts you in a position to even have that conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like, how many people go to networking events and people go around and ask the question, what do you do? Instead of, tell me a bit about yourself. Who are you?
Yeah. What
Like,
brought you here today?
what brought you here today? One of the most difficult questions that I noticed with asking my staff in the 30 minutes is, because we have a bit of a icebreaker thing at the beginning of it, is two things are really difficult. Tell me like a 15-second elevator pitch on yourself. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I love my family, I love outdoors, I love hiking, I love anything being active. Business, excites me. Operating systems excite me. I love dealing with people, you know. But you ask somebody that, like I rattled off a few things, and I could probably keep going because I've taken time to know who I am and what I like and where I want to go in my life. But that's a very difficult question to ask. When was the last time you asked somebody, who are you? What do you like?
Yeah.
What's your story? And if you ask people that, that's a cool way to create rapport and to connect with somebody. And the second thing is, tell me three things you love about yourself.
Right. Right. That's a great question. What a great question. So we do this thing, one conversation dinners, and I know you're familiar with the concept, right? One conversation meals, and we use paper napkin wisdom as a tool to build those. So you can write a gratitude item or something like that, and it gets passed to a central person, and everybody gets a chance to ask questions about each person's paper napkin. This is a great thing. Three things you love about yourself, and people could ask questions about that. What a powerful one conversation connection opportunity.
Yeah, it's like so powerful, and it's intriguing that if people don't think that way, you have to go down to, tell me one thing you love about yourself. And most of it, I'm a good dad, I'm a good father. But that's not really a thing that you love about yourself,
No.
you know. And so it's really, and that's why I say about putting your hand on your heart, looking in the mirror and say, I love you. All my bumps and wrinkles and the fact that I have no hair and it's going gray and I'm getting older, I love all those bits because, it just means that I'm a human
Yeah.
and I'm here.
Like, this is powerful, and as has been evidenced in recent times, I know we could go on for a long time. So I want to say thank you for joining me here today. You had a shout out. Who do you want to shout out today?
I honestly have to shout out to my dad, Paul William, Joseph Schoenberger. He's one of the most inspirational people that I know. He's a musician. He was a business leader. He was a bit of a comedian and made me laugh. And one of his most empowering messages that he ever gave me, that took me a long time to really realize, is when you run into a situation where you've got chaos, essentially you don't know what to do, just start. And before you know it, you'll be done.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Mike. It was great to spend some time with you here today.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Wasn't that an incredible conversation with Mike Schoenberger? You might find yourself reflecting on just how powerful intentional innovation can be, how leadership truly thrives through relationships, and why adaptability isn't just a skill, it's the key to long-term success. As you think about what you've heard today, you may begin to realize that success isn't just about simply following trends. Imagine how much more impactful your decisions can be when they are thoughtful, strategic, and aligned with your core values. Mike's approach to bridging legacy systems with modern technology serves as a reminder that growth is about evolution, not abandonment. You may already know that chasing trends isn't enough. What if you focused on only what truly adds value? As you reflect on your journey, notice how trust and inspiration can shift your team's engagement. What if you could recognize opportunities for evolution before challenges force you into them? Imagine the possibilities when continuous learning become part of your company and your personal DNA. Have you ever thought about how staying true to your mission fuels long-term success? Now, I wonder what insight stood out most to you. What happens when you take that thought and turn it into action? I invite you to write it down on a napkin and capture the moment. Share it with us using the hashtag #PaperNapkinWisdom, because sometimes the simplest reminders create the biggest shifts. And before you go, wouldn't it be valuable to make sure that you never miss an episode? Subscribe to Paper Napkin Wisdom on your favorite podcast platform. You might just discover that one conversation that sparks a game-changing idea. Leave us a review and share this episode with someone who you know needs to hear Mike's insights. Until next time, what's one action you can take today that will move you closer to the future you envision? Make it a great day.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.